Om Song Saraswati Namaha. Namaste. Namaste, everyone. We're on page 263, and we're going to begin the 5th discussion. How to remain unattached while living a householder's life. Mahimacharyan, Manmohan, M, and several other devotees were enjoying the nectar of Sri Ramakrishna's words in his room at Dakshineshwar. It was afternoon, and the devotees were mesmerized by the endless flow of gems and jewels flowing from Sri Ramakrishna's mouth. All felt the strange heaviness that did not allow them to move from their seats. In the minds of the devotees, there was not the slightest thought or worry. Their workaday world had completely vanished as the Master's nectar-like words brought resolution to all the concerns and difficulties of their lives. Over the years, many renowned scholars and pundits had visited the Master and had been astonished by his wisdom. Padmalochan, Narayan Shastri, Gauri Pandit, and Dayananda Saraswati, to name a few, had come and stood in awe of the unlearned saint of Dakshineshwar. Dayananda had said, "We have studied so much of the Vedas, Vedanta, and all the scriptures, but on seeing this great soul, we are now receiving the fruit of all that study, and we have the proof of the promise of the scriptures. After all the churning of the milk of our studies, we are only drinking the whey and water. He alone is eating the butter." When Keshav Sen and other notable teachers of the time who had received English educations met Sri Ramakrishna, they were confounded by his wisdom. They said, "How wonderful! It is as though Christ has returned to earth in human form. In his village dialect, he is teaching through stories in such simple language that even a child can understand the highest spiritual truths." As Jesus called on his Father in heaven, Sri Ramakrishna called on his Divine Mother. Both demonstrated that wisdom is not in the letter of the scripture, but in the spiritual fact of a living faith and divine realization. The Master of Dakshineshwar is a true renunciant. That is why his words have such compelling power. Were those enmeshed in the world to say the same words, they would not carry the same power. It is through renunciation and living faith that the power to impact the worldly mind arises. Keshav Sen and other spiritual leaders of the day were profoundly impressed by Sri Ramakrishna's spiritual presence and simple teachings about God and spiritual life. How could such an illiterate man have acquired such wisdom that the greatest scholars of the day came to his feet to learn? He respected all religions and sects and quarreled with none. His mind was entirely free of desire, passion, and anger. He had nothing himself. He lived a life of perfect renunciation, and yet he never asked others to renounce the world. Rather, he advised his devotees to remain in the world. He said, "Your life in the world is like a fort behind whose walls one can pray to God. When a prisoner is released from jail, he will return to the same job or profession he had before his imprisonment. When a devotee becomes liberated, he will remain in the world. Where else will he go?" Ramakrishna. In the beginning of spiritual life, you must retire to a solitary place from time to time. It is necessary to put a fence around a newly planted tree so that the animals will not destroy it. Later, the fence can be taken away with no worry. When I first saw Keshav Sen, I said, "His tail has fallen off." When a tadpole loses its tail and becomes a frog, it can live on land as well as in the water. I wanted to see Devendranath Tagore, so Mathur Babu took me to meet him. When I first met him, he seemed a little egotistical. I said to Mathur, one who has egotism cannot have true knowledge of God. Pride is a sign of ignorance. Those who have seen God are very wary of egotism. I am a scholar, I am a wise man, I am wealthy. Can that kind of idea remain in one who has seen God? As I was speaking with Devendra, I went into samadhi. When I'm in that state, I don't know what people see. From inside of me, a kind of ha-ha laughter bubbled up. That was the condition I was in. At that time, I have no regard for a pundit or a learned man. If I see that a person is without discrimination and renunciation, I regard him as mere straw. A vulture may fly very high in the sky, but its eyes are always on the ground below. In that state, I saw that Devendra had yoga as well as bhoga, enjoyment of the world. He had many children, and a doctor was in the home tending to some family member. I understood that even after attaining spiritual wisdom, he still had to remain in his worldly environment. I said, "You are the King Janak of this age." Janak drank his milk from two glasses, the glass of yoga and the glass of worldly enjoyment. Even though you are living in the world, you have kept your mind on God. It is for this reason that I wanted to visit you. Please tell me something about your understanding of God. Devendra quoted from the scriptures. Then he said that the universe is like a chandelier, and the individual beings are like lights on the chandelier. When I used to meditate in the Panchavati, I had a similar vision, so I knew that Devendranath was authentic. Do you understand the meaning of this? God has created man in order to reveal his greatness. If the lights do not remain, everything will be in darkness. You won't even see the chandelier. Devendra invited me to come to the festival of the Brahmo Samaj, but I said, that depends on the will of God. You see my condition. I don't know what attitude God will put me in at any time. Devendra insisted. He said, you must come. When you come, wear proper clothing. If you arrive unkempt and disheveled, I will feel personally insulted. Ramakrishna continuing, I answered, I'm afraid I can't assure you of that. I have not been able to become a gentleman. All laughed. The next day, a young man arrived with a letter from Devendra saying that I should not come to the festival, that I might do something improper or wear my clothing incorrect. Captain, devotees, householders, and improprieties of the Brahmo Samaj. Ramakrishna to the devotees. Captain is active in the world, yet he is a great devotee. You should go and meet him. Captain knows the Vedas, the Vedanta, and the Bhagavad Gita by heart, as well as many other scriptures. He is also very devoted to me. I was walking on a path in Boranagar, and he held an umbrella over my head. When I went to his house, he served me with great devotion. He fanned me and massaged my feet. He also served me many delicious vegetarian dishes. When I was in the bathroom, it happened that I went into an ecstatic state and couldn't take care of myself. He cared for me there, even though he is so orthodox in his conventions about ceremonial purity. Captain has a lot of expenses. His brothers live in Benares and he manages all their financial needs. His family told me that he doesn't like all this worldliness. He says repeatedly that he will leave the world. Every member of his family is a devotee. His father was an officer in the army and fought in a war. He would worship Shiva with one hand while holding a sword in the other. He is strictly orthodox in following his religion. That is why he stopped seeing me for a month when he heard that I would visit Keshav Sen. He said Keshav has violated the conventions of Hinduism. He doesn't follow the traditional ways anymore. He eats with English people and has joined his daughter in marriage to a family of a different caste. His unorthodox behavior has cost him his own caste. Ramakrishna. I said to Captain, what do I care for such things? He chants the name of God. I only go to him to hear about God. I only eat the fruit of the tree. I don't care about the thorns. Still, Captain would not leave me alone. He said, you mean that you will continue to see Keshav? And then I became a little upset and said to him, at least I don't go there for money. I see Keshav in order to hear the name of God. You go to the homes of the wealthy. Why do you go there? They are not Orthodox Hindus. After I said this to him, he remained quiet. But Captain truly is a great devotee. When he performs the arati, he burns camphor. After his worship, he sits on his asana and sings devotional songs. Then he becomes like another person. He has no consciousness of his body. The sixth discussion, Vedanta, Maya, and Ramakrishna. Ramakrishna to Mohimacharan. According to Vedanta, this world is only an illusion that obscures the true reality. The world is merely a dream. The Supreme Soul is ever awake and present in the three states, the waking, the dreaming state, and the state of dreamless sleep as in deep meditation. In each of these states, the true self is fully awake and aware. I will tell you a story that suits your own attitude. There was once a farmer who lived out in the countryside. After many years, he was blessed with a son. He named the child Horu. Both the parents loved Horu very much. The farmer was a very righteous man, and his neighbors, even those in the nearby villages, held him in great respect and loved him dearly. One day, as he was working in the fields, a neighbor came to tell him that his son had suddenly come down with cholera. Upon hearing this dreadful news, he left at once for home to care for the boy. In spite of the best treatment available in the small village, his son died that very day. Everyone in the house was filled with grief, except the farmer, who showed no sign of sorrow at all. He merely asked the others, "What is the fruit of your grief?" And then he went back to the fields to work. That evening, when he returned from the fields, he saw that his wife was crying even more. She said to him, "What kind of cruel father are you? You didn't even shed one tear over the loss of your son." The father, in a thoughtful mood, replied, "Shall I tell you why? It was because last night I had a beautiful dream. I dreamt that I was a king who had 8 sons. I had all the comforts of a kingdom could provide, and my subjects loved me dearly. Then when I awoke in this morning, all of that disappeared, and I went as usual to the fields to work. Now I ask you, should I grieve for the 8 sons who were lost in the dream last night? or for the one son who died today. The farmer was a Gyani, a man of spiritual knowledge, a spiritual wisdom. He knew that not only was the dream false, but the waking state is a dream as well. The only true, eternal, and unchanging reality is the soul. For the Gyani, all three relative states of the soul have dissolved: the waking state, the dream state, and the state of dreamless sleep. There is only the Supreme Self and Maya, which obscures the Supreme Self. The Gyani has dissolved the three relative states of the soul. One who clings to these three relative states of consciousness can never move beyond them. Devotee. But why must one renounce the three states? Ramakrishna. To realize the supreme divinity, one's individuality as well as the perceivable universe must be transcended. By discriminating through the process of not this, the individual soul transcends ego identification and attachment to the relative universe. As long as the I remains, one will feel that it is God who has become everything. The universe, the individual self, and the 24 cosmic principles of the Sankhya philosophy. When you buy a belled fruit, you pay for the whole fruit, including the seeds and the skin, as well as the pulp and the juice. When you get home, you discard the seeds and the skin and keep only the edible portion. If you want to know the weight of the whole fruit, you must include the seeds and the skin also. That is why I say that all this is my eternal mother's drama. I can't call it a mere illusion and throw it to the wind. The weight would be less. Om and union with the eternal drama. Ramakrishna to Mahimacharan. When you explain the sacred syllable Om, you refer only to the O, the U, and the Ma. A-U-M. Om. Mahima. Om means creation, preservation, and transformation. Ramakrishna. Well, I give the illustration of the ringing of a large bell. Taum. The Lila, the great drama, dissolves in the Nitya, the great cause. The gross, the subtle, and the causal bodies merge into Turiya, that pure consciousness which is beyond the three states of waking, dreaming, and deep sleep. When the bell is struck, it is as if the heavy object has fallen into the ocean. Then waves arise and ripples circle outward. Thus from the eternal, the divine drama begins. From that great ocean arise the realms of the causal, the subtle, and the gross. From the great cause, from that which is beyond all manifestation, arises the universe of gross or material experience, the universe of subtle experience, and the universe known only through meditation leading to intuitive experience. Then the ripples of creation subside once again into the great ocean. If you think of the Nitya, the eternal, you come to the Lila, the drama of relativity. And if you think of the Lila, the drama, you come to the eternal, the Nitya. Therefore, I understand Om through the taum of the bell. I have actually seen this. She has shown it to me. There is no end to the ocean of consciousness. From that ocean, all the drama has evolved, and into that ocean it will dissolve again. In the ether of consciousness, tens of millions of creators have taken birth, and they will dissolve into that infinite expanse once again. I don't know what is written in the books about all this. Mahima. Those who have seen such things don't write books. They remain immersed in ecstatic joy. When would they have time to write books? One who writes must be attentive to worldly things. He must take care of his accounts. He must budget his time, and so forth. Others have heard from those who have had personal experience and have written about it. The world of objects and relationships demands motivated action until we attain the wisdom of the Supreme. Ramakrishna. People ask, in the world of objects and relationships, why do the selfish attachments and desires remain? Good question. When we attain to that supreme wisdom, then selfishness will depart. If you experience the bliss of that supreme divinity even once, your mind will never again run towards the pleasures of the senses and worldly attachments. Once the moth has seen the light, it doesn't return to the darkness. Once someone asked Ravan, why take the trouble to abduct Sita? Why not just appear to her in the form of her husband Ram? Ravana replied, if I took the form of Ram, I would be lost in the knowledge of Brahman, the supreme divinity. Then how could I think of something of so little consequence as abducting another man's wife? To the extent that your devotion to God increases, your attachment to the small self and its worldly desires will diminish. Chaitanya lost himself in divine love. For one to achieve this, it is necessary to practice spiritual discipline. The more you meditate on God and increase your devotion to his lotus feet, the more the pleasures of the body and worldly desires will recede. Finally, all attachment to the world and bodily enjoyment will disappear. You will not look at others with attachment. You will see all women as your own mother. Then the relationship between spouses becomes a partnership in spiritual evolution. One's animalistic nature subsides and one's divine nature reveals itself. Then even if you remain in the world, you will move through it as a jivan mukt, one who is free even while living. The disciples of Chaitanya were unattached even while living their lives in the world. The seventh discussion. Ramakrishna and Hazra and service to the Divine Mother. Hazra was sitting on the eastern veranda of Ramakrishna's room doing japa. He was about 46 or 47 years old and came from the same rural area of India as Ramakrishna, Ponkuru. He had attained the spirit of renunciation for a long time. Sometimes he went on pilgrimages and sometimes he stayed at home. He owned some land on which his house was built, the income of which supported his wife, daughters, and sons. Yet he still had some outstanding debts which caused him much worry. He was always wondering which debtor to pay in each month and how to find the means to do so. He traveled to and from Kolkata frequently and often stayed at Ishat Mukherjee's house while in Kolkata, where he was treated like a sadhu. When he stayed at Dakshineshwar, as he often did, he served Sri Ramakrishna as the opportunity arose. For instance, he would buy a new cloth for the master if he saw that the old one was torn. He was always eager to receive news of Ramakrishna. loved to discuss and debate the scriptures and had a somewhat inflated opinion of his own spiritual stature. He presented himself as a Gyani, a follower of the non-dual Brahman, the highest form of divinity. While staying at Dakshineshwar, he somewhat conspicuously sat for long periods on the veranda outside the master's room doing japa. Recently, news had reached him that his mother had fallen ill. She had asked Ramlal to request Hazra to come to her and to tell him that she anxiously desired to see her son. The other devotees had departed. Only Mahima, Hazra, and M remained with Sri Ramakrishna in his robe. Ramakrishna to Hazra. Go to your home and see your mother at least for a few days. If you cause pain to your mother, your sadhana will be of no avail. Go to her at least for a short time, then you may return here. Mahima. Sir, why do you ask Hazra to go home? He has no desire to return to his family. Ramakrishna. His mother has expressed her pain to Ramlal. That is why I say so. He should go there for 3 days at least, and then he can come back here. When I was staying at Vrindavan, it suddenly occurred to me that my mother was crying for me at home, so I came straight back with Mathur Babu. In any case, what is the harm for a Gyani like Hazra to return to the world for a few days? Mahima, laughing, Sir, that would be a good point if Hazra was a Gyani. Ramakrishna, smiling, oh, Hazra is a Gyani all right, only he has just a touch of desire left for the world. He has children at home and a few outstanding debts. As the saying goes, Auntie is now in perfect health, only she is a little ill. All laughed. Mahima, smiling, then where is his Gyan? Ramakrishna, oh, don't you know? Everyone believes Hazra is special. He lives in Rani Rasmani's temple garden. He is a renowned person. Many people around here speak only of him. All laugh. Hazra, Sir, you are beyond form and attributes. That's why no one can understand who you are. Ramakrishna, exactly. The formless is beyond all action, so why should anyone speak of me? Mahima, Sir, he knows nothing himself. Whatever instructions you give him is what he is following. Ramakrishna, oh? You had better ask him about that. He has said to me that I have nothing to give to him and he has nothing to learn from me. He is always arguing and occasionally he even gives me instructions. All laughed. When he tries to debate with me, I give him a scolding and leave him to himself. And then that night, remembering how I spoke to him, I don't sleep well. I have to get up in the night to go and give my salutations to him. Only then am I at peace. Vedanta and the pure Atman. Ramakrishna to Hazra. Why do you refer to God as the pure Atman? The Atman is beyond all action. When I think of the activities of creation, preservation, and destruction, I call the Atma Ishwar, the personal God. What is the pure Atma like? It is like a magnet which itself is motionless, but makes a sewing needle placed near it move. The 8th discussion, talking to Isan. It was evening. M was sitting alone in a somewhat troubled mood, thinking. Ramakrishna came over to him very lovingly and said, please bring me 2 pieces of inexpensive cloth. I can't wear clothing brought by just anyone. I thought that I would ask Captain, but it is better if you bring it to me. M at once stood up and said, "Certainly, sir, I will bring them." As the evening deepened, M was lost in contemplation of the temple activities. Frankincense was brought to Ramakrishna's room. The master was repeating the name of God, and then he began to sing. Outside the room, all of nature was beautiful. It was the 7th day of the bright fortnight of the month of Kartik in November. The waves of the Ganga were singing, as it were. The beautiful strains of the songs of the evening arati in the temples merged with the sound of the holy river, and the sound of whose waves seemed to be chanting, "Kali, Kali." All the concerns of the day soon dissolved in a blissful sound. The arati was being performed in all 3 temples, Kali, Vishnu, and Shiva. And now, at each of the 12 lingam temples of Shiva, worship was being performed. The priests moved from one temple to the next, performing arati at each. In their left hands, they held the bell, and in their right, 5 horns. In front was the assistant priest, who carried a brass gong. In the southwest corner of Ramakrishna's room, songs in various ragas were being sung. To M, it seemed as though the bliss of the eternal had become manifest in this festival of worship. In this joyful setting, it was natural for devotees to remember their true nature. No one experiencing this could be without bliss. All of one's worldly pleasures and pains became insignificant in this divine joy. The children of the servants of the garden did not enjoy fine food or clothes, and their homes were dilapidated. No matter. Mother was in their hearts. They knew their mother was present here and that she was taking all responsibility for them. She was not a vague or distant mother. She was real and present here and now. M's contemplations deepened with the darkening shadows of the evening. M thinking, "Who am I? From where have I come? What will happen to me in this lifetime? Where will I go? What will I experience? Only Mother knows, and she knows everything. What human being cares for me even a particle as much as my divine Mother? She is my true Mother. She has given me my body, mind, vital force, and soul. I don't need to know any more than that. If there is something that she wants me to know, she will tell me. Who else cares for me so much? Truly, Mother's children live in unbroken bliss." Outside the master's room, the moonlight was laughing, as it were. Within the room, Sri Ramakrishna was sitting immersed in the bliss of divine love. Later, Sri Ramakrishna was sitting in his room with several devotees. Ishan had come from Kolkata, and the discussion naturally turned to spiritual matters. Ishan had great faith in God. He had said, "If you repeat the name of Durga even once upon leaving your house, she will walk with you every step of the way, protecting you with her trident in her hand. What fear can you have? She will surely protect you." How to perform yoga through karma. Ramakrishna to Ishan, "You have great faith. I don't have that much faith." "Oh well. By such great faith one can realize God." Ishan, "If you say so, sir." Ramakrishna, you are sitting by the fire performing homas, japa, fasting, and so on. All of these activities are very good. If you have an inner urge to realize God, God Himself will make you perform such disciplines. If you can perform these activities without desires for their relative fruits, you will attain to God without a doubt. You will attain to God without a doubt. You are presently following the activities and rites prescribed by the Scriptures. This is called Vaidhi Bhakti, the devotion through knowledge. There is another form of bhakti, devotion through feeling. In this bhakti, one follows the subtle feeling of the love of God. This is the path shown by Narad. If that form of devotion comes to you, you will not need to follow the Vedic karma anymore, but may do so for sheer delight. The ninth discussion, the heart of a true devotee. Before evening, Evan took a walk and was thinking that the story about the will of Ram was very appropriate. It reconciled the incessant conflict between predestination and free will, between liberty and necessity. I was smoking by the will of Ram. I was taken by the robbers by the will of Ram. I assisted in committing robbery by the will of Ram. I was caught by the police by the will of Ram. I have become a sadhu by the will of Ram. I am praying, O Lord, do not give me impure intelligence. Do not make me commit robbery. This also is by the will of Ram. He is giving both good desires and bad desires. But there is a question here. Why should He give us bad desires? Why should He give us the desire to steal? In answer, the Master replied, as the Lord has created tigers, lions, and snakes among animals, as He has created poisonous trees among vegetation, in the same way He has created thieves and robbers among men. Who can tell why He has done so? Who can understand God? But if He has created everything, then what happens to the sense of responsibility? Why should it go? Without direct knowledge of God, without His darshan, no one can have complete faith in Ram's will. Without realization of God, this will be remembered only from time to time, and then will be forgotten again. Until one does not have complete faith, the sense of virtue and vice and the sense of responsibility must remain without fail. The Master explained that it is not enough to repeat, "It is Ram's desire" from your mouth by rote like a parrot. Until God is not realized, until His will and my will do not become one, until the ego is not understood to be an instrument, until then, God maintains in man the dualistic feelings of virtue and vice, of pleasure and pain, of purity and impurity, good and bad, and the sense of responsibility. If He did not do so, then how would this ocean of worldliness be able to function? The more I contemplate the Master's devotion to God, the more I feel amazed. Keshav Sen chants the names of God and thinks of God. This is enough to send him running to visit the Master. Immediately Keshav became one of his own. He did not listen to Captain's objections. All the accusations against him, that he went to England, ate with English men, gave his daughter in marriage to a different caste, were ignored. I eat the plum fruit. What do I need with the thorn? The thread of devotion to God unites those who believe in God with form and those who believe in God without form. It unites Hindus, Muslims, and Christians. It unites the four castes. Victory to devotion to God. Blessed is Sri Ramakrishna. Victory to you. You made manifest once again the universal spirit of eternal religion. That is why your attraction is so great. You embrace the devotees of all the religions as your very own. Your one criteria is devotion to God. You only see if one has love of God and devotion in one's heart or not. If it is there, the person is your very own. If you see a Hindu who has devotion to God, he at once becomes your very own. If a Muslim has devotion to Allah, he also is your very own. If a Christian has devotion to Jesus, he also is your very own. You say that all the rivers coming from diverse regions flow into one ocean. The goal of all is the same ocean. The Master does not say that this world is a dream. You say that argument is without merit. This is not the doctrine of Maya, that the world is an illusion. It is the doctrine of non-qualified dualism, of qualified non-dualism. This philosophical doctrine does not say that the living beings in the universe are illusory or delusions of the mind. God is true, and again, man is true, and the world is true. Living beings in the universe are the supreme divinity. If you omit the seeds and the shell, you can't have the whole bale fruit. I heard that the universe of change arises out of the great ocean of consciousness and disappears in it in time. Waves are rising in the vast ocean and in time are subsiding in it. Endless waves sport in the ocean of bliss. Where is the beginning of this game? And where is the end? One cannot speak of it or think of it. How little is man and how little is his knowledge? I have heard that great saints have seen the primary consciousness in the state of samadhi. They have seen the ever-playful Lord. They must have seen him because Sri Ramakrishna is also saying the same thing. But they could not have seen with these eyes of flesh. Perhaps they saw with divine eyes, the divine eyes with which Arjuna saw the cosmic form, the eyes with which the rishi saw the self, the divine eyes with which Jesus used to see his heavenly Father. How can one have those eyes? I heard from the Master that one can have that kind of vision through sincere yearning. Now, how can I have that kind of sincerity? Will I have to leave the world? But that is not what he said today. Oh. And that's the completion of chapter 13.
Thank you, John.
Thank you all. Do we have any questions?
Swamiji, I have a question from page 268.
Yes, please.
There's the story of the farmer who was a jnani. It says that the farmer had a dream and he woke up from the dream in the earlier part of the story, but later on he says that Sri Ramakrishna says that the all three relative states of the soul have dissolved for the farmer. So how is it possible for the farmer to have a dream and also for the states to have dissolved if he's a jnani?
He's a jnani and his wisdom encompasses the wisdom of pure consciousness. So therefore, in pure consciousness, he has awareness of all three states, waking, dreaming, and deep dreamless state, as well as turiya, that which is beyond. From that perception, he can see, hey, the dream that I had in the dreaming state is no more false than the dream that I had in the waking state. They're both a dream. And now, why shall I give more relevance to one dream than to another dream? They're both false to me. And now I don't have to be bound by either of those dreams. I will remain in the bliss of infinite consciousness, regardless of what transpires in the waking state or in the dreaming state.
Swamiji, when he asks this farmer, what is the fruit of your grief to everybody, to all the
Yes.
family members, does that mean the fruit, with the grief, the fruit we get is more attachment?
Yes, what will you get for grieving? Don't you want to celebrate the privilege of having had such an association when someone departs? Why grieve? You're only grieving from our selfish loss. My selfishness, I am going to be deprived in the future of that relationship which I place so much attachment in. And now I'm going to, that's the only fruit of my grief. So Ramakrishna, or the farmer, is saying, hey people, we should rejoice and celebrate God and extol God for having had the privilege to have such a relationship. And now, don't bind that soul to the earth with the heaviness of grief. Set that soul free with the joy of our enlightenment. Because of that individual, we're all gathering together and remembering God. What a blessing! You continue to give us blessings from whatever world you transpire to. When you move higher and higher and give us greater and greater blessings, we can celebrate our own divinity and celebrate your blessing us. Your divinity, it comes to us. So therefore, what is the fruit of your grief? What are you going to get by crying and moaning and beating your chest? You'll get pains.
So as the years go on, we can always pay tribute to our loved ones and our family members by praying for them
and demonstrating our appreciation for having the opportunity, the privilege to congregate in their remembrance and celebrating God together. What a joy, what a contribution, what a blessing. Thank you.
Swamiji, Wendy from New Jersey has
Namaste,
a question.
Wendy.
Swamiji, this relates to a song that Ma sang. It's actually on page 191.
Yes.
Where Kabir says, listen and hear me. Keep your mind and heart at the feet of your beloved Guru.
Yes.
So Wendy is asking, is there a difference between keeping your mind and heart at the feet of your beloved Guru and keeping your mind and heart at the feet of God?
No. How can there be a difference? Guru is the illuminator. Remember, he said very specifically, the Guru is Satchit Ananda. God is Satchit Ananda. It's truth and consciousness and bliss. And that is what your Guru is. And that is the form of divinity that you can relate to. Now, this form of divinity that you can relate to will take you to the formless beyond relationship. And that too is God. So here comes the question again. Is God with form or is God without form? Both.
Swamiji, question from Bethany from New Jersey.
Namaste, Bethany.
Namaste, Swamiji. Every day I see how I'm attached. If not right in the moment, then immediately after. If I can see it so clearly, how can I change? I'm aware of my attachment, yet seem powerless to do anything. How can I be less attached? Thank you.
Bethany, all we have to do is follow the example of our Guru, follow the direction of Ramakrishna, cultivate more spiritual knowledge, more spiritual practice. And then we become more attached to God and Guru and knowledge and less attached to things of the world which bind us. So when you see and become aware of your attachments, this is a very good first step, but it's not the end of the journey. Now I know I'm attached to the world. Let me surround myself with good friends who will inspire me to think noble thoughts, to think about Ramakrishna, to think about God, to be with my Guru, to practice the way my Guru demonstrates to me. And through this process, then all those small attachments they lose their significance. And they become less and less important in our lives. And pretty soon one day we turn around and say, gee, what use do I have for that?
Swamiji, question from Nilima from New Delhi.
Namaste Nilima, Namaste Sanjay.
On page 276, Ramakrishna says that if one performs the homas and pujas without desire for fruit, he will attain God. But how is it possible to do that? Even if we do not attach a worldly desire, there is still the desire to receive her grace. Thank you.
Namaste Nilima. Actually, the fruit that we desire is only to be in her presence. And I pray to her and say, Mother, please give me wealth and give me fame and give me things of the world. Then I'm not really praying to her for her purpose or for her sake. I'm praying to her for the fulfillment of my selfishness, to the enhancement of my ego and not to the diminishment of my ego. So now, if we pray to her, give me pure devotion to your lotus feet, let me be with you more, let me stay with you, then this prayer doesn't bind us. This prayer sets us free. It takes away all of the other attachments and puts them in their